I love cookies. I love cookies. I love cookies. I love cookies.
Well, welcome to Cookies, the world's most influential basketball podcast. It is a brand new lunar year. Andrew, how excited are you for the fresh start that the moon has provided?
I'm happy to finally have celebrated a non-fraudulent New Year. You guys running around on December 31st pretending like it's an actual end and beginning of something. But as we know, it all went down last night. So Happy New Year, Ben.
Thanks. Would you say this is the real New Year is upon us?
Of course I would say the real New Year's upon us. Like, the only real food are stir-fried noodles. The only real music is Jin, the rapper. And the only real beer is Taiwan beer.
Did you ever go to Yellow, the Chinese club in Chinatown back in the day?
No, but like, I would say I didn't really hang out with that many Chinese, Asian people in my lifetime until recently. But did you ever go?
I remember driving by it. Mm-hmm. And then it got closed down, I believe, after Jin's buddy got shot there.
Right. I kind of remember this.
By China Mac,
mm-hmm.
who's now out of prison. And that is the same location, I could be wrong, that became Le Baron and is now
Juku.
Juku. I think that is the same spot there on Mulberry Street. Is that right?
Yeah, it would make sense because that is in Chinatown, but kind of the southern edge of it. The southern kind of near the park, but you remember Bob on Eldridge Street, that rap club. Some nights there was a large contingent of Asian people in there.
There definitely were. I can remember most of the DJs were Asian. There was an Asian guy who DJ'd, there was an Asian woman who DJ'd, and every now and then you would get the legend herself, Cuttin' Candy, would get on the ones and twos.
Right. And this was the era when like Miss Info was big on Hot 97. And there was a moment in New York City. This was like pre-Staples design, pre-Pigeon, Dunks, all that. But there was a lot of Asians that were into rap. But I'm washed, so I don't know where I would find them. But where are they now? I went to the Brooklyn Botanical Gardens for like a Christmas thing that they have.
Wow.
It's like,
wow.
Yeah.
Talk about washed. On 1 second ago, you're talking about vibing at Bob, holding a Heineken high, listening to Cuttin' Candy, play Blase Blase when the East is in the house. And now you're over at the Botanical Garden. Wow. How the mighty have fallen.
Well, yeah, I mean, I keep on saying I'm washed, and that's what it means. So I'm at the Botanical Garden, and related to that idea, I saw a ton of these Asian hip-hop fans that I recognized from back in the day there with their kids. Like, I recognize at least like 2 gaggles of Asians being like, I used to see you at Fat Beats and Bob. Weird. And like Swim. This was like a certain crew I would see around New York City, and I think they're like very successful art directors. They have that feel to them. But maybe that's where they all went, the Brooklyn Botanical Gardens, for their light show.
Yeah, I knew some rap Asians back in the day, but they were 5%ers from Queens. I'm not sure what they're up to these days. Maybe marching in defense of Kyrie. Unclear.
Just dripped out in purple. Just purple everything. Yeah, Chinese New Year, the best fucking holiday of the year, man. It is the most important one. Chinatown shuts down. There's dragon dances all week. There is delicious food to be cooked and shared with people you like. You have to have dumplings, noodles, and fish.
So I've gone down to Chinatown sometimes to do some light celebrating, and you get the noisemakers that you kind of pull the thing and they shoot the confetti up in the air.
Some bang snaps.
Dumplings, yeah. Bang snap, yeah. Yep, those things for sure. And my younger family members love it. They love the dragon dancers. They love the bang snaps. They love the confetti.
Yeah.
They love the dumplings. Truly an excellent New York holiday.
It is awesome, right? And it falls in a white person hole in the calendar where, like, white people have gone to all the French restaurants they can handle in December. And you're in the doldrums of January, and you're like, oh, this vast part of the world that considers itself Asia celebrates their own killer holiday. And we get to reap the benefits of that classic.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what do we have as Caucasians here? You know, late January. When so we want to say it starts on like the 21st, 22nd, like 22nd, sure. Right?
Yeah.
So here's some of the things that us, Caucasoid mongrels have to celebrate.
And I want to clear up your nephew and your relatives are not Caucasian entirely. So
no.
They're not swagger jacking me at all.
No, they have some of the culture.
That's right.
Okay, here are some ones that I celebrate. Grandpa's Day.
That's tight.
I feel like that's for everyone. National Blonde Brownie Day.
I do enjoy those baked treats. That is a nice baked treat. Shout out to those blondies.
National Polka Dot Day. Shout out to Kwame. National Hot Sauce Day. Well, that applies to many folks.
Is that an one? I think. Okay.
Yeah, those are all those are rivals to the Lunar New Year on January 22nd. I don't feel like any of those are adequate, except for maybe Grandpa's Day. It's a hot one.
Between hot sauce and grandpa's, like, that's part of a New Year's celebration. I mean, I don't think Asians like get wasted and hook up with their like cousin's friend. I think they eat a big meal and they're asleep by like 8 p.m.
All right, so I think it gets a little spicier, no pun intended, on January 23rd and 24th. So we got National Handwriting Day. That's a doozy. A celebration of penmanship and whatnot.
Comic Sans.
We have National Pie Day.
But what kind of pie? Like pizza pie technology?
Oh, right. Could be like a moon pie.
The stupid numbers?
No, it's got the E.
Okay.
Because there is a pie day too, right?
I said
like,
it.
Where dorks list off like 27 digits of pie. I feel like that is a thing.
It is supposed to be the answer.
24th. The 24th. I got a couple more for you that I think you're gonna like. International Mobile Phone Recycling Day.
Oh damn. That's nice. Necessary. I'm into that. Okay.
Yeah. National Compliment Day.
Ben, you look amazing. You sound incredible today. And since we're sitting next to each other, you look amazing. Yes.
Hey, save it for tomorrow, man.
I jumped the gun.
Tomorrow is National Compliment Day, as well as National Peanut Butter Day. I think I'll get behind that.
Is it weird that I don't really enjoy peanut butter, but I love peanuts?
Well, how does this affect you on the holiday?
Oh, on the peanut holiday. Well,
like you don't. So basically, you're saying you don't observe National Peanut Butter Day.
Well, it's hard to tell because every day is peanut M&M day for me. I'm a notorious peanut M&M purchaser at my local supermarket because for some reason they have these big family-sized grab bags right near the cash register. And Ben, I'm just a man, a washed human being. What am I not gonna buy that large?
You're
bag?
only one man, and the seduction of the feminine round M&Ms. It's too much for you to handle. You are like the sailors crashing on
the siren song of the
M&Ms.
M&Ms. Yeah.
You're like, oh, do I hear chocolate and do a candy shell with a peanut inside and floating over the salty brine, and let me crash to my death.
Sir, wake up, cash or credit. I'm like, oh, sorry, I was lost in song. I'll take the M&Ms.
So I saw earlier today, M&M's has made an announcement. I know you were really upset about it.
I was.
Yeah, you were super pissed. So M&M's made an announcement. They said, America, let's talk. And anytime M&M's, like a candy company, says, America, let's talk, you got to sit down. It's about to be serious.
How did the M&M's characters become such main things in our Twitter overall life. Like,
It's just Fox News, right?
yeah, I guess, but like these characters have been around like on various amazing pieces of leather, maybe some NASCAR cars. Like, it has worked better than the Coca-Cola Polar Bear, which I don't think they necessarily have been pushing. But can you name, like, is the 7-Up red dot dude cooler than any M&M, peanut M&M?
Yeah, and like the Three Musketeers, is it all of them that we're supposed to be into?
Listen, man, if you see one musketeer, the other two can't be far away.
I mean, that's true. What are the names, like Athos and shit?
It's
Can you name the Three Musketeers?
I can. It's Brunson, Randall, and Grimes.
Oh, one of them. I think one of them is named Athos.
Was Three Musketeers a book? It was like a celebrated novel. Like Frankenstein was a book, right? Like,
I I think so.
where did the Three Musketeers start from? Somewhere serious or something wacky?
And like they're musketeers. Do they have muskets, or are they swordsmen?
I think there's swordsmen. It's the tiers that changes the musket thing. We don't
Well, it's
call
kind
them
of
the
like
Three
the-
Muskets.
It's like an MVP ladder for men with muskets, like musketeers.
Right.
Like Athos is like right at the top.
Yeah, I don't think Athos is dethroning the green M&M as like a cool spokesperson for junk food.
Well,
Like, how-
to your point, I think the recent prominence of the curvaceous M&M figures is due to specifically Tucker Carlson and Fox News using the M&M's attempts at sort of modernizing their candies, their spokes candies, as they call them,
yeah.
and making them like gay and lesbian and trans and overweight and doing all these things to try to make them more reflective of the general
love it.
population of society, and thereby, you know, falling into the jurisdiction of wokeness and getting ire from Fox News and Hannity. So, and all in all, it's kind of been a brilliant synthesis between M&M's as a brand and Fox News. They get to say this candy company is, is perpetuating wokeness in our society, and M&M's get to be both progressive and have their characters be discussed because, as you said, they are literally peanuts.
Would Fox News Nation be happier if they introduced like a yellow M&M that had buck teeth and slanted eyes and like a rice hat? I guess that's what you call them. Like, and you know, like El Chapo, like have a nice day. Did you see that post-it? Was that El Chapo when he broke out of jail and he left that racially sensitive taunt to his captors? Yeah, would Tucker Carlson be like, finally, everyone go buy up those M&Ms. There's something about them that I just love. This new character.
I mean, I don't think so, because I think that's still a bridge too far. Like, these are not Asian.
Is it a bridge too far?
It's a bridge over the River Kwai too far.
Right. I mean, Tucker Carlson has been grasping, right? Like, my whole terrible take is the Fox News world has less power than we can imagine. After Trump accidentally becomes president, he gets defeated soundly by Biden, and then the midterms was supposed to be a reckoning of that, a correction to that Biden victory, and it was not. And Fox News famously predicted the red wave, and they are kind of wrong. They've been wrong about politics stuff for a long time, so they have to retreat into culture stuff, right? Because there's no right and wrong in culture. You cannot prove that peanut M&Ms are all the rage. So,
Well,
like,
the issue here, of course, is that right-wing Fox can't do populism because ultimately they are serving billionaire masters, both in a like real sense of who owns the company, but also of where their agenda lies. So their populism is just culture war, right?
Yeah, they have to.
I mean, that's how it works. They can't sit here and say, I mean, they can go after limousine liberals, but that's a culture thing. They're going after hypocrisy, not wealth. So anyway, the rest of the statement from M&M's, I'll read it quickly, is that they said they've made some changes to the spokes candies, and we didn't think it would break the internet, but now we get it. Even a candy's shoes can be polarizing, which was the last thing M&M's wanted, since we're all about bringing people together. Therefore, we've decided to take an indefinite pause from the spokes candies. In their place, we are proud to introduce a spokesperson America can agree on, the beloved Maya Rudolph.
Right.
You know what, Andrew? This sounds to me like a marketing campaign, I gotta be honest with you.
There was some mood boarding involved here. Maya Rudolph was not their first choice.
Somehow I'm not sure that this announcement from the spokes candies is the genuine article.
It is, the biggest white person holiday of the year is coming up. I believe we're 3 weeks out from the Super Bowl, so could it have something to do with that? Maya Rudolph for M&M's has Super Bowl written all over it, right?
I would agree with that. And some of the responses from people are saying that the company of M&M's has crumbled because of Tucker Carlson.
Kowtowed to the Fox News.
Here's an example of a tweet that has 1,000 likes. I didn't have Maya Rudolph gets a new gig because Tucker Carlson and his audience don't want to live in a world where they aren't sure which candies are fuckable on my bingo card. Funny tweet, but leading back to this point that like
ruined
M&M
with on my bingo card. If
has
that was
kowtowed.
Right. Okay. Where's very
bingo card unnecessary. Who the fuck plays bingo? No one. Stop.
Yeah. Played out. If they left that out, it would have been a better tweet. You know, I love these good tweets, but like, I think we're all collectively very stupid right now. We're smart in other ways. I think progressively we're getting smarter as a whole, but like, I think
maybe.
so. I think
Maybe.
so. I mean, we're talking about Rick Rubin like being the mastermind of a funk record, being like, okay, the geniuses on this planet, there's Rick Rubin and who else? We've kind of figured this out a little bit, right? Like the idea of intelligence is, in my opinion, has progressed. But we still say and think stupid things to get a little bit of like, to chase away loneliness, whatever, to be heard, right?
I think that's fair.
I think we say things in response to a clear marketing ploy to try to get some sort of end to an idea, but this is just a trap.
So
The M&Ms
here's
are
another
a
one.
trap.
Here's another one. More outrage, more marketing, more the same idea. Schiaparelli, fashion company, very prominent. They showed at Paris Fashion Week.
It sounds like
they
a
had-
restorant you wait like 2 hours for on a Thursday night.
It's in the West Village.
Yeah, they have amazing
Schiaparelli.
Cacio e Pepe at Schiaparelli.
Yeah, you can't get a seat there.
No.
Gotta know Schiaparelli himself. But so they put fake animal heads on some of their outfits, and they're very realistic. One was a lion with a full mane, and I think Kendall Jenner wore that while she was sitting
Kylie
on
Jenner.
the. Was it Kylie Jenner? Which one
Kylie.
was it? Kylie Jenner.
Kylie.
Kylie Jenner. Kylie. Yes, Kylie. Did I say
Kylie.
Kyrie? Kyrie?
You're going. Pick one. Kylie or Kyrie. One's got to go.
I'm going to say it's Kylie.
I don't know about that, but go on with your Schiaparelli point.
Anyway, she's wearing a big lion with a mane on her shoulder. They had another, like maybe it was a panther that was part of a wardrobe, or it was a bear. Another big
It's a
predatory
wolf
creature.
head. There's a white tiger.
And people were mad as hell. You should see the comments on IG. People are unhinged. They are going crazy. And I guess the idea here, even though these are completely fake, they are replicas of animals, is that it's giving poaching.
It is. They are done in such a realistic way. Like when I heard about this story, I was like, is this another riff off of the Ben Cho deer head? And our buddy Merrill Smith made that, and that was a very famous runway moment. But it was like obviously fake. It was made out of like, I believe it was like a white knitted rope, and it just looked nothing like a real thing. And friend of the pod, Hillary Taymor, right? Like, she shows up to the Met Gala famously in that horse head design that she has created.
And
but doesn't
that,
really
believe,
look like a horse.
It was made out of paper mache. No one was
Yeah.
saying that she went full Godfather mode and severed a horse's
Right.
head and attached it to like her sternum.
But
Except
these,
for me, I thought that's what it was.
right. It's like, you killed. What would the name of your horse be? Like a horse, like someone who got. You killed Julius Randle, my workhorse of a horse.
You
She's
killed
like, no, it's
Silver,
paper mache.
the commish.
Yeah. But so these.
So here's what
these
people are
guys-
saying. Here's what people are saying.
You're just reading Twitter for this episode, aren't you?
No, I'm reading right now the Daily Mail.
Wow.
Basically, that
.co.uk.
it's promoting trophy hunting. That is the criticism. Environmental campaigner Carrie Johnson was among the voices slamming the Italian fashion house's supermodels. Irina Shayk and Naomi Campbell modeled the designs at Italian fashion house's Spring/Summer 2023 show and during Fashion Week. Grim, real or fake? This just promotes trophy hunting. Yuck. I mean, not no.
It certainly does. Oh my God. It looks like some rich people went out for a paid trip and killed a bunch of animals that were napping under the shade of a tree.
Now, I know you want to get into the natural path of this conversation, which is, should fake child porn be legal? Wow. And I'm going to steer you away from that, Andrew. I'm going to say, let's stick to the animals and let's stick to poaching.
Let's see.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Yo, I would thank you, but compliment day is tomorrow, so you're not getting to hear this for 24 hours.
But so right is the look of poaching what is being celebrated, despite the fact that these are imitation animal heads? The answer to that would be yes.
It looks like that. Also, poaching exists. It's a complicated discussion. It's okay not to like a fashion line, but to talk about it as like a moralistic thing is kind of complicated. It is fake as fake fur is. And I know people claim that the more realistic the fake fur is, just glamorizes the look of it. So it doesn't matter if it's fake or real. You do not want to create a culture of desire and a market for these things, which I agree. That is a phenomenon. But I looked at these things. I'm like, these are cool as hell, man. It looks like these animals are actually roaring. They're actually looking at you sitting in the front row. Like, they're very convincing and very cool. And they're like attached on the shoulder. It's kind of nothing you would ever roll into like Wu's Wonton with, or like Ladiv. You don't want to roll into Ladiv with a lion's head. But for a high profile event, like, I like the spectacle of it. It's complicated, like, as is a Martin Luther King sculpture that I personally loved. I think there is an artistic range, a spectrum in which we can like accept that not every facet of a visual thing has to coincide morally with something.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true.
It's a very mid idea,
mean,
but
yeah, I mean, look, like we saw the Beatles, with butchered baby dolls,
yeah,
on an album cover.
Yeah.
Did people think that those were really dead babies? I guess that was on the Yesterday and Today album.
Yeah.
I mean, no, right? Like people knew those were dolls.
Yes.
So, is it the fact that these are realistic enough to look real is the problem, right?
Yeah.
It's like if they looked like paper mache or they were artistic and looked like a lion, the same people who are criticizing them would say these are great. It's just that the hyper-realism that creates the impression of reality is the issue.
Yeah, and there's so many different things to like unpack here. Like rest in peace, Vivienne Westwood, who is one of the great designers, great artists and creators in many lifetimes, right? And be like, well, let me Google what she did. It's like, oh, there's like the dwarves having personal adult relations with Snow White. Oh, there's Mickey and Minnie engaging in an act that is for adults, but done in a cartoon way. Like, that is like very risque. That stuff came out like 50 years ago. And I think when we see something like a realistic lion's head on the shoulder of Kylie Jenner, it is an opportunity for someone to create a point of view, brand themselves. I don't know. I think poaching is terrible, obviously. We don't have to go through that. But, like, we can kind of deal with these ideas, and the representation of an idea shouldn't always have a solution that makes you happy, right? Like, it is enough just to pose the question as opposed to solving the question.
So my IG algorithm has really veered towards big cats lately. This is totally coincidental. I'm getting lots of lion and tiger content.
Oh, I was gonna ask, like Carl Anthony Towns sizzle reels only.
Lots of big cats.
Yeah.
Now, at the same time, you get bored and you kind of flick through the comments, and there is a very active and like vocal part of the Instagram community, Instagram user base, that is very defensive of animals. That just seems to be what they do. So, like, for example, there was a clip that someone showed of a turtle being pursued by a shark.
Saw that one.
And someone picks the turtle up out of the water so to avoid him being eaten, and then puts him back in the water later. And people are like, how fucking dare you tinker with nature?
It's confusing.
Like, how dare you? What if that shark starved?
Yeah. It's like,
I'm like, all we do is tinker with nature, man.
it's like, oh, I broke my foot. It's like, I'm gonna go get a cast. Like, how dare you tinker with natural selection? It's like, well, I tried to skate off that ledge. I landed weird. I cracked my damn foot. It's like, I'm gonna have a doctor look at this. It's like, no. You have to deal with the repercussions of your actions.
Like, I hear what people are saying. Like, sure, natural selection was just interfered with because you were on a boat right there. But, like, man, we build roads. You were on a boat. Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah. I rarely think, to bring up an old Cookies classic idea, I don't think people actually care about this. Like when I read these comments, as you do, I'm just like, does this person actually care, or is he looking to draw eyes to his own account so he can get his numbers up? This is a gamification of ethical sludge, right? And the thing that a lot of people want, it seems, especially Tucker Carlson, is like viewership, numbers, followers, all this stuff. And to get there in a very quick way would be to signify some cultural thing. And it's like, you know what they're taking away from us? Cigarettes. You know what's most American? Nicotine. And I'm like, that works. Whatever. It doesn't have to be a debate. I'm like, cool. I know a lot of people who smoke. I don't necessarily...
Tucker Carlson saying nicotine frees your mind. This is fucking
awesome.
Fire, though.
Dude, I know this sounds very Pollyannic of me, but like when Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp and T. Moran and Tucker Carlson do ridiculous stuff, I'm like, well, yeah, they're the ridiculous people in our world, right? It's like, did you see the crazy thing Tucker said? I'm like, yeah, because he says crazy stuff. Is it funny? It's just like, yeah, it's about nicotine and how THC makes you a zombie. I'm like, that's pretty good. That's not bad.
It's wild because you're out here. You're in your Chuckles leather. I'm wearing
Looking
my
amazing.
Peppermint Patty windbreaker.
Right.
And I feel like we're being vilified.
Are they attacking?
Like, I want to walk out of the house in my Mounds anorak and not feel as if I have the eyes of conservative America, laser focused on me.
Dude, a quick aside. I have been seeing many 8-ball puffers on the trains I take, and I try to take pictures of all of them, and I think it's rude. Like, you shouldn't take pictures of strangers, especially if you plan to post them on social media celebrating their jackets. But damn, I cannot resist, man. They look so good.
I saw someone post a child in an 8-ball puffer yesterday.
Did they look
So, like,
amazing?
yeah, it was a little 8-ball puffer, and I was there in a Butterfinger puffer. And
Yeah.
it's like, wow, that's tight.
I know you've been waiting to ask me, but yes, the Chuckles have broken up. So I have one jacket for every Chuckle color. Right now, I'm wearing the Chuckle green color. It's only green.
You stopped supporting Chuckles after they got more diverse, if I remember correctly.
The laughter has stopped. There's no more chuckling. It's not funny. It's not funny, man. You can't sexualize and apply gender to these delicious jelly treats. Like,
no joke.
there's no joking anymore. We need to sit down and talk about Chuckles. And
The red Chuckle is too horny.
yeah, when you make the yellow Chuckle the horniest of all the Chuckles, like, we don't need that. Kids don't need to be subjugated by horny Chuckles. Chuckle just wants to blaze all the other Chuckles. We know this. We've always known this.
Yeah, that's Chuckles lore.
Yeah, the yellow Chuckle just wants to do adult things to the other Chuckles, man.
I felt like, in general, that was just kind of part of the mythology of the Chuckles that made them, the Chuckles that they are.
Well, astute
Like
Chuckles.
that was the origin story for Chuckles, was part of the kind of like the insatiable libido of the yellow Chuckle.
I mean, astute followers and fans of the Chuckles lore, as you say, will understand why we called the yellow Chuckle Keith Van Horn, the mayor of Horntown. He's got one thing on his mind.
This might even be a generational thing because, we grew up watching the Chuckles TV show, reading the Chuckles book, leafing through our dad's copies of Chuckles magazine, which shows everything. They show everything in that.
Well,
and I just like today's kids with their phones and their internets, like, they just don't have that same experience, like getting to kind of know the Chuckles characters at the moment where you too are becoming an adult and exploring those desires yourself.
Kids, turn off those screens and go to your public library and leaf through those dusty leather-bound books. You have the Three Musketeers and you have the story of the Chuckles. This goes back generations. It's been appropriated and changed to update the culture of the times, but the original Chuckles story is a masterfully written a novel that right after you're done with the Three Musketeers, you're ready for Chuckles.
Yeah, go in that Volkswagen, and your cousins will hand you a copy of Chuckles. And
It's a nature
that's how you
book.
become a man.
Yeah.
That's how that was a bar mitzvah for people of our generation.
Yeah, Little Benny Buckets. Here's a book about nature. Read this.
I just see licorice as far as the eye can see.
Right. Here's a 500-page book with no pictures about nature. First, there was the yellow Chuckle. He wanted to fuck every other Chuckle.
The ebony Chuckle.
Ahead of its time, gotta say.
But that's part of Chuckles lore. Absolutely. So what else is new? Are you watching the HBO zombie series? Is that? I'm trying. I'm trying to watch. We recorded a little later today, and I snuck in episode 2 of The Last of Us, based on an acclaimed video game.
And if you guys don't know about it, it's called The Last of Us, and it's a buddy movie. It's about a wisecracking kid and kind of like a really uptight guy with a gun, and they're on mushrooms, and they don't know they're on mushrooms, but they are wandering around normal life as me and you know it, but they see everybody at these mushroom head things attacking their right to not smoke. Did I get that right?
Yeah, they're microdosing penis envy, and then they brutally attack any of the mushroom people that come near them.
None of it's happening. They're just chilling like at a Christmas restaurant, but just high off of fucking mushrooms, man.
So the latest episode, they're going through a ruined bean town, which really hit home to me.
The Boston
Because
Garden?
I just viewed it like, you're saying we can destroy this place.
Are you telling me we could infect it with a virus that ruins everything and then blow it up? No spoilers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm here. I'm looking at the bean in absolute shambles, and my eyes are like saucers. This could be our reality. And in this episode, again, no spoilers. Like, when they blow up DJ Lethal's mausoleum, like, that was something that I've always wanted to do.
Right.
And, like, seeing the last place that Godsmack ever performed,
Wow.
brought to rubble, I teared up.
Yeah. When the Odd Couple defeats the zombie mushroom version of the Dropkick Murphys, it's like, that was pretty poignant. I thought I should rewatch that. It's very layered.
I actually did enjoy the part where they escaped the zombies and the mushroom people, and they went and just peed on Red Auerbach's grave.
They're giving an award out for the person who pees the most on Red Auerbach's grave.
Remember when you killed Larry Bird and Danny Ainge on this very pod?
But at two separate times. It wasn't I wasn't like they're both dead at the same time. It was two different misunderstandings, but maybe understandings. Maybe.
Yeah, and I just remember you saying, like, I want to see Walter McCarty in a shallow grave. And I was like, wow. So let's watch this zombie show where they really, take it to the Beantown.
I want to see Eric Montross urinating on Red Auerbach's tombstone.
I like the scenes. Yeah, I like the scene where they were like shooting the zombies with like bullets dipped in chowder.
Oh, delicious. We talking red chowder? Like, does it explode in red, or is it like white? Like, I don't know, a zombie type blood, a mushroom zombie type blood.
And then they like ward them off with 4-leaf clovers.
Wow. They were just like leaving fake pots of gold everywhere. It was really chocolate covered coins. I mean, I guess gold covered chocolates. And the zombies would just like kind of ransack them and avoid our protagonists and keep them in safety.
So what do you think of this show so far? Other than, like, I love to see Boston felled, no doubt. As a show, I still haven't quite bought in that this is anything other than every other zombie show I've ever seen.
Which is fine. I'm fine with seeing a show about nothing. It just depends on how it's done, right? And this is done super well. I like it. I, too, agree with you. I don't need to see The Road number 5 more roads. But I like the casting. I really like this guy who made this in Chernobyl. I rewatched Chernobyl this week, and it is kind of the same. Not to be too heavy-handed, but like they're all living zombies together trying to solve a problem, but they're all already dead. This guy seems very interested in, which I'm down for. He is the zombie king now, the new zombie king of entertainment. It's a good show.
This does remind me quite a bit of The Road 4 Roundabout.
Nice.
Yep.
Also a buddy movie.
But yeah, watching this, I gotta say I didn't love the mushroom-headed zombies. They just weren't scary to me. I'm annoyed by how they looked. I don't mind zombies in stages of decrepitude, or if they had transformed into something completely fungal. Maybe that happens down the line, but like regular people with zombie heads. I gotta say, I was a
or
little
mushroom
disappointed.
heads. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yes, the mushroom head. I wasn't scared of them, and they look dumb.
My question is, if our world, our planet was overcome with a zombie parasite and took over our brain, wouldn't we all be like dripped out in like online ceramics and super chill? Like, why are we murdering each other? We'd just be like, oh damn, I just want to sit in the corner of this club and look at these lights and critique this DJ. Like, isn't that what would happen?
Yes.
Right. I mean, why would they kill each other?
I mean, I guess they're just trying to create more fungi. But like, yeah. So another thing about zombie movies where this one does not depart is I feel like they usually have had like a clicking, gurgling sound. They all kind of do like that. Like, that's just like the zombie noise. They all make it. And I was wondering, could you do something different with zombie noises that would be really scary and stand out?
Right, because 28 Days Later was famous for making the zombies fast, right? They just did one thing to it.
Yeah, and this does the same thing. They're also fast in this. So, but yes, you were right. 28 Days Later, that was a deal that they could run.
Yeah, and that was kind of jarring and kind of flies in the face of George Romero. Is that him? Who made the original the zombie movie about malls and commercialization and sexy
It's
M&Ms.
like the Walking Dead.
The Walking Dead took place in a mall. There was like a super horny Chuckle, and it was all about selling more Chuckles. But yeah, I needed something. I need more. I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of it, but like I fear it's going to turn into a normie kind of zombie movie. And he has given interviews and assured the video game dorks that it would stay true to the story. And I think there's more characters that get involved. I think the previews tell you that. I think there's some like gender stuff that might infuriate Tucker Carlson. No spoilers, but the sexy Chuckle does not make an appearance in this, as far as we know.
That's about as good of a spoiler as the time when you revealed who died on White Lotus, like within like 8 hours of the show airing.
Yo, if you haven't seen it within 8 hours, man, maybe you don't have that White Lotus dog.
So yeah, we'll see. I don't mind the show so far. I'm just waiting to see if it departs from typical stuff. And I saw someone made a pretty good point, and this person was a gamer, and they were saying that this is not a reflection of how video games can inform movies, because in some ways this is just reverse engineering, where
For sure.
this game itself was intended to feel like a movie. So making a movie from it is not ambitious or weird or even inventive. And they're like, if you could make a movie about these other video games which are, solely inhabit that genre, that would be far more impressive than turning a video game that mimics a movie into a movie. And I was like, that makes sense to me. I don't game. I don't really follow the plot lines of those things, but that rang true as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's storyboarded out already, and sort of the same as comic books, right? Like, there's literal storyboards of it, and so there's room for filmmakers to jump off from there. Sometimes I think, like, it is a clever thing to market it as based off of an acclaimed movie, and but this filmmaker, if I can just like kind of like consider what he's made before, I'm sure was just turned on by the idea, not of the yellow Chuckle, of like zombies wandering. That's all he needs to know. It's like, well, yeah, and we can sell it because it's based off this thing, but my own personal interest is about whatever, the Odyssey, Homer, like, oh brother, where art thou, kind of Ethan Coen, Joel Coen stuff. So it doesn't take much to set someone off. If I told you, Ben, I want to sell you a script, and you're like, okay, I'm ready. I'm an acclaimed filmmaker. What is it about? It's like an Italian plumber who's racist. You're like, done. I can make a 7-hour show out of this and will win all the awards.
Yeah, I mean, if you're right, if you're gonna make. By the way, do you know Mario's name is Mario? No, facts. I would never lie to you or the listeners. I would never lie. His name is Mario.
This is surprising because I thought his last name was Hazonia.
No, it's Mario.
Wow.
Which means that Luigi's name is Luigi Mario, which is fucking crazy to me.
God damn it. Is that true?
It's true.
Fuck, man. All right.
That changes everything.
Yeah, it really does. I gotta go revisit all those games. So what's the does the princess take his name? So she'd
also be Princess Mario?
Yeah. What the
Princess
fuck, man?
Princess Toadstool Mario?
Yo, fuck this show. This video game now.
I'm fucking out.
I'm out. This is some bullshit, man.
That's it. Like I can't even, man. I'm done with it.
The fuck?
Like that shit hurt my heart.
Yeah, you got me, dog. It's like, fuck, man.
Mario? Are you shitting me?
Bro. Yeah. Well, is it
dog? Nah.
Nah. Is it a whitewashing of video games? But are Italians white? Is what I want to know.
Can it be both?
Listen, this is both racist and not racist. Fair enough.
I just want Mario fully kitted out in Schiaparelli.
In like a elephant head?
No, let's put the what's his name? King Koopa's head on his shoulder.
Oh damn.
Mad as hell.
Yeah, what is the most famous Italian that isn't a dictator?
Ooh.
Boyardee.
It's like gotta be some popes, right? I feel like once you become a pope, you just are sort of Italian. You know what I mean? Like, okay, you're the pope. You now live in the Vatican. It's like honorary Italian bestowed upon you. I feel like that's fair. Yeah, the most famous of Italians.
Yeah, they're
it's a real stumper.
Well, yeah, Chef Boyardee.
But not a dictator, you said.
Not you. No, you cannot. Dictators are off the table.
Okay.
Would it be?
What about Christopher Columbus?
That's
He's
fair.
not famous. He's not famous for anything good, though.
No. There's Andrea Bargnani, super famous.
Yeah, Marco Polo, not.
Ooh, that thief, that swagger jacker, the
I was
OG
about to say,
swagger jacker.
I didn't even want to bring him up to you because, like, I knew we were going to start getting into pizza and pasta and gunpowder and all that.
Hold me back. Yeah. Well, we have not solved this. It is Mario. He is the most famous Italian.
What about Pavarotti?
No, not even close. If you ask a Zoomer who Pavarotti is, they'd be like, oh, isn't that the chef of that really hard to get into West Village restaurant with that amazing cacio e pepe? We call him Pavarotti.
Okay, that's fair. So it's Mario.
It's Mario.
Mario? Are you Mario?
I mean, is Luigi's Haunted House was a hit game, so it might be Luigi Mario.
It is. I'm not lying to you, man.
And he's draining buckets in LA as well, so he's famous in many worlds. The haunted house world, the NBA world.
Did you see this clip that went somewhat viral? And I don't think this is that new. People have heard about this and discussed this, but it's very Zoomerine. People are talking about like your CR versus your DR.
I don't know what that means.
When I saw this clip, I didn't either. And I was like, let me figure out what they're talking about. And this girl was saying, like, well, I'm friends with this celebrity that's my boyfriend in my DR. And like my sister doesn't understand this. So your CR is your current reality, and your DR is your desired reality.
I was going to say dream reality, right?
So basically, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, I'm dating this celebrity, so I know him and refer to him as like by his first name casually. Like I know he likes that movie because that's my boyfriend in my DR. And this young person's sister was like, "You're on crack," more or less. I mean, that's verbatim from the TikTok. But apparently this is a thing. People talking about perma-shifting from their CR to their DR. I'm not sure how you accomplish this, but there are like waves of TikToks talking about how you can try to shift your brain into your desired reality, like when you go to sleep and etc.
Huh. I mean, I kind of do that when I'm at MSG, right? Like, my CR is the Knicks are a 500 ass team.
Yeah, yeah.
And my DR is they're putting 5 Jeremy Lins on the court, linning it out. It's insanity.
Yeah. I think that's
Does that
probably
work?
correct. I'm not gonna say no. Where your CR is like your Cam Reddish, right? Mm-hmm. And then your DR would be Derrick Rose.
It took a second. I was like, DeMar Rosen? Yeah, I mean, Doc Rivers. Woo! Don't get that started. Sorry I even mentioned it, but yeah, I'm into this, man. Have we talked about AI yet? Like, it is the elephant in the room. People have been arguing about it recently because of these images of a fake Cronenberg movie that didn't come out in 1985 because it never existed. They took information from the movie Alien, incredible, and another movie, maybe Videodrome, but people got mad because it wasn't real. It was a DR situation, if I'm using this correctly. And it was like, this man's work does not belong to you. You're not allowed to fraudulently do this. You're breaking the space-time continuum of our memory and artwork. And his response was, whatever. And it just kept on making it.
Right. It's like my response would be like, dude, I just plugged like 7 words into like an AI art program. Yeah. Like I didn't really. It's not that deep, man.
Yeah.
I gave it some prompts, and this is what it spat out.
Yeah. And his more serious defense was, hey, if you guys are such Cronenberg buffs, you know this doesn't exist. I'm a filmmaker. We all know he didn't make this movie like World of Flesh in 1985. So like, if you don't know his discography, then like, don't come at me.
But I do think when we talk about like the CR versus DR, and we talk about this future of a world where ties into the concept of the metaverse that doesn't exist yet, but it almost feels as if these science fiction ideas that take hold just sort of worm their way into reality in some points, where it's like, okay, we are going to figure out a way where you are going to live in your shitty little hovel and order all of your food and just be plugged in constantly.
Wonderful little hovel. Right. Okay, cool.
And to be plugged into your DR. And that will be your real life. Will be your digital life will be your new life. And it does seem like this is where things all just sort of twist and end up, and then that's where you end up in like an AI reality. I don't know. I'm not saying this is going to happen right now, but you do see the tendrils of this like weird dystopian future where like, is this reality? Is that reality? Are we dealing in a parallel universe? Is this a simulation? You see how these things start to interconnect, though.
Is this different from knowing somebody at 3:00 and then being like, "Ooh, can I borrow $20?" and then seeing them at 3 a.m. being like, "Ooh, I'm about ready to write that hit album that's gonna make me a millionaire," and they do that every day for 20 years?
Yeah, probably not. But I mean, well, right, because the idea of CR versus DR is just like fantasizing about other shit.
Right? It's
Like
projecting.
you're watching a movie, like, damn, I'd really like to date, the yellow Chuckle, but like you can't.
You cannot. No one can date the yellow Chuckle.
You can't you can't tie down the yellow chuckle.
It's
and
too
you're
horny, too horny for you for to date. That level of horniness, you have to respect it. Respect the level of horniness.
You're fantasizing about wifing up the yellow chuckle,
Can't happen.
having a monogamous relationship. Not happening.
No.
Not happening. But it's a fantasy. That is your DR. Your DR is that you are booed up in its cuffing season, and you've got, and the yellow chuckle has your back in a way that will never happen in your CR.
Yeah, but in your CR, you can chill with the red chuckle. The red chuckle is fucking boring as hell. Put up with your Knicks, Doc Rivers bullshit. It's like, oh, I have to pod for 3 hours. They're like, okay, I'm a red chuckle.
You're over here in the DR, the Dominican Republic, fantasizing about Costa Rica.
Ooh,
CR.
playing for the Yankees, becoming the best baseball player in Major League Baseball. Yeah. Okay, go on.
All right, what else is new here? Have you checked out the new Ice Spice EP?
I have not, but is it good?
I say yes.
Oh, okay. What's the vibe?
The vibe from what you've heard of her so far is also the vibe from this project. And in fact, In Her Mood, Bikini Bottom, and Munch are all on it. So you've heard, potentially,
Right,
if you're
right.
paying
Okay.
attention to her singles, 3 of the 6 songs. And she's got 2 other ones I like on it quite a bit. One is called Princess Diana. And one is called Gangsta Boo with Little TJ. That one's pretty good too. I think all in all,
It's a short
5
offering, right? There's like 8 songs
Yeah.
or something.
but you know, a couple of them are she's got her biggest hit on there. She's got her other ones that are quasi hits. I think it's a strong effort. I don't know why she faces a good amount of criticism. I feel like she makes some good songs. She's got a cool voice. Her delivery is nice. She strikes me as a totally unobjectionable new rising rap star. And what is the skepticism towards her? Is it fan bases of existing women's rappers who just don't want a threat to, I don't know, the throne of Nicki Minaj or Cardi B? I just don't get why
But
people.
Cardi
are annoyed
had
by
the
her.
same criticism when she came out, right? Like, this is not real. This is a threat to like the stuff that we deem as authentic. But then Cardi is so good and undeniable that she's had a long enough career where she's still hilarious as hell, the best ever. But like, she's accepted now. I hear you. You know, when I saw Ice Spice kind of gaining momentum, and I'm dating myself, but I'm washed. I'm saying I used to be a fan of this group called Fanny Pack. Do you remember Fanny Pack?
I do, and who's the guy who Fancy
Yep.
who produced for them?
It was created. He crowdsourced 3 performers from like going out. One of them was actually my friend before that, and it was a totally manufactured girl rap group. And totally different than Ice Spice. Not sexual at all. Kind of just like teeny bop a little bit. But like kind of catchy tunes. Fancy had like a sound he wanted to hone in on, and they did well. And they were dropped into a nightlife scene, sort of in the Theophilus London way, where you just be chilling and be like, the music will cut out, and you're like, what the hell? It's like, ladies and gentlemen, Fanny Pack again. It's like, okay.
Oh, I didn't know Matt was involved in that too.
Which Matt?
Matt Goes.
Yep. I mean, it was a total creation to sell records, but I don't mind that at all. If it's good, like, wow, you did a great job. Like, I don't mind targeted ads. Like, oh, I kind of want that t-shirt. It's got all the Sixers on it. They're amazing this year. Cop that at cookieshoops.com.
Yeah, I knew them from around, and I knew Fancy and Matt and a less so, but so they actually did have an album that came out in 2003.
Major
called
label.
So Stylistic on Tommy Boy Records.
Yeah, I think
Tommy
Tommy
Boy
Boy.
Entertainment.
I think it was a major label, but like, I don't know who owned Tommy Boy at that point, but
It was a double CD, or it was one CD with bonus tracks. They put out 17 songs.
dude, they did the full on press thing. I knew one of those girls who had like a distinct style, and then the minute she joined this group, she was unrecognizable. It's kind of awesome. She was cool. She was just like, I'm doing this art project. I'm like, awesome.
Oh, I remember the song Camel Toe.
Yeah,
right.
it was a thing. And it
Yeah.
kind of reminded me of what Ice Spice is going through now, which is like hitting all these notes that somebody in some boardroom or office thinks will work. And Ice Spice has cred, like she's associated with a lot of respected artists, but she feels like something where some A&R person is like, well, we're done marketing these M&Ms, these peanut M&Ms, we should move on to music.
I think there's also just a resistance to the sound of drill, because hers is more authentically drill
Yeah.
than like Pop Smoke was.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
Like there is a specific cadence to her that is that you hear in like Brooklyn drill and Bronx drill.
Sure.
That Pop Smoke was of that world, but it didn't sound exactly like it. He wasn't wordy in that same way they are. And if you listen to a lot of drill songs, I think it's tough for them to cross over because they are very wordy and fast rap, and the tempo is strange. And I think that's probably why there haven't really been any breakout stars from that world, despite it being the predominant local, colloquial regional rap music in New York over the last, like, I don't know, at this point, what, like 8 years or something like that?
And it sounds great when you're driving around. It sounds great when you're like watching the Knicks game on mute. But like it doesn't quite cross over to like in a pop way. It like that's what Fanny Pack was trying to do. They were trying to target like the Super Bowl, ads, TV, usability, like you can plug this beat into like an outro of a news segment about something and it would work. Like drill doesn't quite, it's a little too hard, right? Like, and I don't mean that in like a masculine way. I just mean like it's a dark sound with a dark inflection. Like everything is kind of like on a descending slope, and like it is not as usable, but it's very listenable in my opinion.
Yeah, if you were going to go, like, what's it, synthesizer, the
That's like
idea
a
of
Cronenberg
like,
movie.
right, the idea that color goes with sound.
Oh yeah, synesthesia. I claim to have a little bit of that. Right.
And same, even though it's corny to say.
No. It's visual. It's cool. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I remember thinking that a long time ago, before I knew it was a thing that people claimed.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's odd to coordinate sounds and colors and whatever. It all makes sense to me. But
Yeah, it's not as pretentious as like, oh, I see a rainbow in you, auras. I think of it in terms of like I step into a restaurant. I'm like, this is a brown ass restaurant. It's like, what does that mean? I'm like, I don't know. It's just the color brown. Like,
right, like this beat is dark. It's
like
black,
navy blue.
And this is up tempo. It's light blue. It's gold. Yeah, I don't think that's weird.
No.
But yeah, I would say a lot of the drill
No color shaming, Ben.
is just incredibly dark.
Yeah, it's a dark
and
sound.
in like a monotone way, like Coach the Ghosts and like Fabio Foreign. A lot of that stuff is just so dark. And I think that's what's kind of cool about Ice Spice. It's like the tempo is like traditional Bronx drill, Brooklyn drill, but it's far more lighthearted.
Yeah. And
It's fun.
And I think the origins of UK drill a generation before was a response to like the popification of grime, right? When all those artists, I haven't mentioned grime on this pod in a while, man. I've held back, but now we need to discuss this. We've covered every other topic, the chill chuckle, the horny chuckle, and now grime. But when all those rappers like Dizzy, I can think of him. Obviously, everyone knows him. He kind of turned into a pop star in the UK. Like had a lot of guest vocals on his records. Like wasn't as hard. Had big budgets for videos, whatever, etc. And I think the UK grime scene was a reaction to that, being like, well, the streets still like a part of this sound, but like it's no longer for us. It's for kids now. So we're gonna reclaim it in a certain way. And it took years to hone a sound, like where Pop Smoke kind of picked up on it, but now the other evolution is kind of boomeranging back into pop, where Ice Spice is not trying to necessarily be hard.
No, not at all. I mean, I think she's following exactly in the lineage of like familiar women rappers from New York, of Cardi B, Lil' Kim, Foxy Brown. Like it's an established, like, I mean,
Young M.A.
prototype. Like it's basically the prototype of like the confident New York City girl. It's not even a rap thing necessarily. It's just like, oh, you're from New York City. You carry yourself a certain way. You talk a certain way, and this is that persona.
She's funny too. She responds to the hate in a fun way. She is like, "I'm here. Deal with me." And everyone's like, "You're not real." And she's like, "Whatever. You seem obsessed." I'm like, "Yeah." To your point, like classic New York City kind of person we've all met.
Yeah. I mean, it is a rap prototype, but it's based on like the LL Cool J Around the Way girl kind of thing.
I like it. I mean, the rollout for this EP seems like some record person was rushing this out. So I don't know what her next move is going to be. I don't know if it's going to be a 20-track album, but I would just do little songs, like not unlike Takeshi 6ix9ine, like just like drop these viral singular anthems, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure what her record deal situation is. I'm just not well versed in that stuff right now.
Yeah.
And I believe she's working with, maybe it's like DJ Enough's son. You know, it's someone.
Yeah.
Someone's. There was like a classic New York City like Hot 97 DJ's son is the one who does all the production.
Are you talking about Nepocore?
It's definitely Nepocore.
All right, I just wanted to make sure.
Is there any good nepotism happening in the NBA these days? I mean, I guess it's a basketball pod, so we should talk about the nepotism that's right now the number one NBA nepo baby right now is your man Kessler.
Is there a Walker Kessler Sr.?
No, but his dad was in the NBA.
Who do you play for?
Let's see what Basketball Reference has to say.
Oh, nice. Google. He is my man. I think he's awesome. I think he should get Rookie of the Year consideration. I was excited about that trade because he projected to be exactly what he is. Utah Jazz, man. You know why I love Walker Kessler is because the Utah Jazz fulfilled their villain promise. It's like, oh, we got to go against this like formidable young team. Who are their big dogs? Like Walker Kessler and Lauri Markkanen. I'm like, that's funny. That's very Utah Jazz of them. It's like, I appreciate what.
So here's your Kessler nepo baby credos. His dad played 4 years at Georgia, and was okay. Averaged 12 and 6 as a senior in 1987. And his uncle was Alex Kessler, who played in the NBA from 1990 to 1994 and did not do much. Averaged a total of 5.4 rebounds for his career. But so he has two excellent basketball players in his family tree, and he is 7'1". I'm telling you, man, I watched him play. He is good. He is really good.
Yeah, he does like little big man things that are effective. Like he doesn't bring the ball down too low. He doesn't take stupid shots. He just keeps his hands up. He's huge. I'm a fan, man. I think, like, sadly, Danny Ainge from Beyond the Grave, like, saw the potential of that Donovan Mitchell trade. And, like, yo, man, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of this Utah team. I even like Jordan, hold me back, Clarkson.
So he was taken a late first round by the Grizz, and I'm not sure what. I guess that ended up being part of. I guess it was part of the Jake LaRavia deal. So he was more or less just traded for another guy, and he went to the Timberwolves, and then he was shipped over to
Gobert
Utah
trade.
in that draft.
Right.
I mean, that was a heist, man.
And nerds knew about him. There was a few big men in this draft. So this was the whole thing with like Jalen Duren, right? Like I thought he was okay. I like him quite a bit. But if my favorite team, the Knicks, couldn't get him, like Kessler might be available later. He ended up going a little higher, but like, yeah, Kessler was a known commodity. I drafted him
You
in
know
fantasy.
more about that. I don't. Where was he on the KBB?
Well, since the KBB doesn't care about your like 21st favorite album, it stops at 14, so we didn't even get to Kessler. He should have been higher. He should have been higher. But these guys need more time, Ben. You got to wait. You got to be patient.
So I feel like I watched him play in a game where Kelly Olynyk was out. I guess he was playing it against Joel Embiid, who is...
Sounds like the only time you see other teams is when they're playing Joel Embiid. Is this true?
I watch them other times, but I watched him in that game specifically.
Sure.
I've watched a decent amount of Utah games, but I don't remember seeing him play a lot early in the year. So I haven't really seen too much of him since Olynyk went down a few weeks ago, and he kind of just was given the full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
I was really impressed by his rebounding, his rim protection. I mean, he's 7'1". He seems to have a good wingspan, but there was a play where he blocked Maxey, and I don't know if it was called a goaltend or not, but I mean, he was extremely far above the rim.
Yeah. He's a long ass dude.
I just mean he is not a typical Ostertag ass member of the Utah Jazz. He seemed very athletic from when I saw him.
Yeah, it's like at this point you cannot be Greg Ostertag in the NBA, right? Like it's impossible to.
I can and I will.
But like Kessler in the 90s wouldn't exist. But if you transported him back to the 90s, he'd just be dominant. And he still might be dominant in this era, but I like him. I think he's as interesting as Mark Williams from Duke, who also has a lot of these descriptions built into his profile. But like Kessler was also Isaiah Jackson in Indiana. But the difference between Isaiah Jackson and Kessler, just based off of opportunity alone, is like Kessler, I mean, we haven't seen that much of him, but like he's a smart defender. He cheats the right way. Like I want to see more. We need to see more tape. But Isaiah Jackson kind of gets caught in no man's land sometimes. But we'll see. I like him both.
If you look at the NBA like defensive impact stats and defensive field goal percentage, that's like it's tough when you're talking about wing defenders because preventing shots at any place on the court is just as good as actually defending them, and there's a lot of debate about which defensive stats are good. But generally speaking, in the paint, those numbers are at least fairly important to check out. So when you see someone like Draymond Green or Brandon Clark are both excellent at protecting the rim, under 50%. Nick Claxton's about 51%, and Kessler is at 52%. So he is, at least statistically, fairly elite at protecting the rim, and for a rookie, that's really impressive. He's like basically there with like I don't know, guys like Daniel Gafford,
I like Gafford.
Brooke Lopez.
Love Brooke.
Legitimate rim protectors, and he's been there so far. I don't know why Kessler was our go-to first subject. The streets demanded that, I guess.
I'm a fan, and like the Utah Jazz are 24-25. They're number 9 currently, tied with the Warriors in the play-in. And there was a lot of talk about them kind of shedding Jordan Clarkson and Kelly Olynyk. I don't know if they're going to still do that, but like Olynyk is a really good player who's hurt a lot but can help most teams. Like that is just a very annoying player to play against. And he's big and he's skilled. So I don't, his presence in Utah impedes Walker Kessler's quite a bit, but Utah has some moves to make, and I would not be surprised if they just like gave Kessler all the minutes he wanted later on.
My gut instinct on old departed Danny Ainge.
Rest in peace.
RIP to that king.
Yeah.
I think he's trading everybody. I think that's the plan. He's going to stick to it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not talking about Kessler. Like that's a building block.
Legends never die.
I don't know if he'll also put Markkanen in that category. Maybe he's a keeper too because he's on a couple-year contract.
I heard
I
he's
think
going to
all
max
those
him.
other guys.
I think
all those other guys are out of here. Like I think Clarkson is out of here.
Conley.
I think Olynyk is out of there. I think, yeah, those guys have gained value, and I don't think the plan changed because they've won more games than they necessarily thought they would, or maybe that the public thought they would.
I didn't
think they'd win many games.
Yeah, and like no free agent's gonna sign with Utah still. Like living in Salt Lake City is the same as living in Westchester, New York, right? It's like there's nothing to do except eat at Cinnabon. You hear of the big cities, but like you're stuck shopping in malls at like Forever 21 or like buying wacky novelty mugs. That's no life for a professional athlete.
It's no life. You know where you want to be? In a place like New York City, where the Knicks, they may play in Westchester, but here is where they lose 4 in a row. Not winning in the Garden, where they say, if you listen closely, you can still hear the squeaking of sneakers.
I thought you were going to say the M-bomb, and we don't want to get into that Kyrie Irving debate again like this, but it is the church of basketball, they say. Easy, tread lightly. But the Knicks losing 4 in a row is interesting because it's like short view, long view. I think Leon Rose knows what he's doing. He's sticking to a plan. I think Dolan's on board with this rough, but the plan of accumulating draft capital, young players, and seeing what veterans might be available in a large trade, because you have all these assets, some of which are getting older, some of which have value, like Mitchell Robinson. His contract is manageable. But Zach LaVine's name pops up as someone Knicks fans want. I don't think Leon Rose is that interested because he turned down a Donovan Mitchell trade that has the same kind of architecture behind it. So I'm glad they kind of lost 4 in a row, not because I'm a hater, because I love this team, Ben. And I don't think that they're one player away. And if they had won 4 games in a row, I think a lot of fans would be like, well, we're one Zach LaVine away from like actually getting to a higher tier and maybe surprising someone in the playoffs. I think we're pretty far from that. So I'm glad they lost these games just before the deadline, because I think it's reasonable to say they should stick to the plan, which is like B-level assets in the draft and then just waiting.
So if we just look at expected record, Knicks are currently 5th in offensive rating, which is really impressive for that team.
Fucking awesome.
They're 12th in defensive rating, and they have been much higher at various times. And some of this just depends on the personnel you're playing. You play more offensive players.
Who's injured, whatever.
It shows up over there. Yeah. Mitchell Robinson goes down, and the defense suffers.
What are they, number 29 in 5 games?
He is extremely important to that team.
Yes, he's a good player.
On that side.
Yeah.
But overall, they are above average net rating, +2, which is 9th in the league. So I think that kind of checks out with what you see. Like, this is a team that will probably make the playoffs. They will not be at home during the first round, and they will most likely not win that game. Yep. Like, just based on being the 9th best team in the league. Like, just by the math. You're the 9th best team. By the second round, there are 8 teams left, and you are probably not going to be one of them. That checks out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
and I think that's fine. That's fine. That's who they are. The expectation that they can be better is, and I think this is also a fair question, if we're the 9th best team, which is better than most people think they are, what if we added a good player and got us to being a top 6 team?
Same
now
thing.
We're talking about being in the second round of the playoffs, though. Now we're talking about maybe advancing. And I get why people would be compelled by that idea of adding one more piece. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I think people have a point when they say, like, well, in order to be good, you have to add good players. Like, I don't think this. Currently, the 6th seed is the Miami Heat. They're 9.5 out. These outside of the top 3, I don't think it matters. Sort of like the draft, maybe. It's debatable, but usually in the finals, a top 3 player represents both conference. And so, in my opinion, I don't see much difference between a 6 and a 13. But I'm not looking to win one playoff series. That's cool. I would watch, but to get like, I'm trying to find the right analogy, like to get green chuckled, no, to get yellow chuckled by another team in the second round, it's like not an outcome that's enjoyable, and it doesn't really tell us much, right? It tells us what we know. The lightning in the bottle did not happen. It did not. The randomness did not work.
And also, there is no guarantee that a player is out there that can catapult you into that next group in a serious way either. Because if you look at the East, the Knicks are currently, the 7th seed in the East. Yeah. Do I think that you could give them pieces to be better than Miami? Maybe.
Yeah.
You could probably find those pieces, and you went out and you got whoever is available, and you spent whatever assets you have to get those guys onto your team, and they were sensible and they were smart.
Got Laurie Markkinen, right?
Right. Could you get better? And you got Caruso, whatever. You got good players, and you cashed out, and you're like, we're going to go for it. Can you get to be better than Cleveland?
No.
A healthy Brooklyn, a healthy Milwaukee, Philly with a different coach, a healthy Boston? Probably not.
Nope.
There just aren't the guys to add to get to those levels at this moment. I just feel like it's difficult to say there are the pieces available, even if you have the assets to buy them, that will push the current version of the Knicks into an echelon of actual contention. And if you can't do that, then why go all in?
If the Donovan Mitchell trade was on the table again with the same terms, to your point, it doesn't put the Knicks on the level of the Bucks.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But I think like we talk about all this trading and all of the point of views on the court, and I think they should like maybe prioritize something that's undervalued. If they get like a Caruso and a Grayson Allen, like I like these chaotic players who are not necessarily expensive. But I think, and I've talked about this before, I think the one simple thing the Knicks could do that would catapult them to relevance sooner than later is to move the practice facilities to the Hudson Yards, man. Just do it. Spend the millions of dollars it takes to do that, and like not ask free agents to live in SUNY Purchase area, right? Like it is no fun being a Knick, because not only do you practice up there, you got to be in a car through traffic every day to get to the game. And like we've all been in cars that long, like it kind of sucks. It's kind of part of an hour of your day. I wouldn't do it if I was a free agent.
It's true. And I feel like when they built that facility, there was more of an interest, especially for, young players in the Knicks, to not being in the city.
Yeah.
Like you can go out to Westchester and you can live in Connecticut and you can have this big house and some seclusion. But I do think today's players are more interested in, say, living in Manhattan or even like downtown Brooklyn. I don't think there's that many guys who are enchanted by the idea of living in Jersey as there used to be, 20 years ago.
Right, where all those rappers lived in those McMansions, right? Like the MTV Cribs days. But yeah, I mean, even the current players on the team, like, have them be a cab ride away from MSG. Like, I believe happy workers do great things, right? And this is the whole, like, fallacy of the tech thing. Like, I don't think having, like, a DJ at the Garden or having, like, a good buffet or, like, a masseuse or a club in the locker room is going to make players happy. I think, like, things that make sense make people happy. Like, oh, you play in the coolest city in whatever, the world, New York, whatever. Like, why don't you live here? Like, and I think the organization should allow these players to not only take advantage of the city, but like trust them just to like not get into like nightlife trouble and whatever you like kind of borderline racist thing you think happens when a young person lives in New York. It's like, it's not going to happen. They're serious about basketball, but to be able to walk to
Avenue Cantina remains undefeated.
I'm about to hit up those lavo meatballs. I had one too many meatball, man. Those lavo meatballs grew legs and got horny.
Yeah, we're going to replace them with a new spokesperson, and it's going to be you. So on the other side of town, with Katie injured yet again, the Nets were confronted by the specter of last season when they just could not win games without Durant in the lineup. And that makes sense. He is a legitimate MVP candidate, like amongst the top 3 or 4 in the NBA this season. Like he's a real one. He's a real MVP candidate. And when he went down, they immediately dropped, 4 games in a row. But they've had a little win streak lately. I want to say they beat the Jazz, and then last night a pretty impressive win over the Golden State Warriors, who are healthy and defending champs, at least healthy in terms of their primary players who are all on the court. And Kyrie has been absolutely majestic lately.
Wait, he wasn't kicked out of the league? Like Kyrie Irving, the same Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, I felt like he was banned. Like did he retire? What? He was gone from the NBA. I thought we would never see this guy again.
For someone who's have been rumored in hushed circles to have been wanting to retire for years, he sure is balling out currently in the NBA.
Over his last 3, Kyrie Irving, 39, 8, 7, 3 steals, 50% from threes on a hefty 10 attempts per game. He is absolutely beasting.
Yeah, is that good?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I've been watching.
Yeah, 40, a near 40 point-ish, close to triple-double with 50% on threes. That's pretty good. Pretty good.
And to shout out the Do You Even Watch the Games Bro Nation, starting from the Phoenix game, it seems like at halftime, like Kyrie came out and was like, all right, I'm going to play hard. And I'm going to be Kyrie Irving. I think he always plays hard, but he's smart, right? He saves himself. He has teammates that are dominant. Like, he doesn't need to be the MVP guy. But he was like, okay, my team needs me. Let's go. And he brought the team back in that Phoenix game. Ends up losing. And then through Utah, through Golden State, on the road, just demolishing play. Like, reminding us how great he is. I'm excited to see this version of Kyrie, man.
It's great. And as we've said from the jump, on this very pod and many perfect previous pods, is that this Nets team, if healthy, which is a big question mark, is just pretty much better than anybody else. I mean, if you can get a healthy KD, a healthy Kyrie, and a healthy Simmons, and we have not seen a healthy Simmons outside of a couple-week period. KD is hurt right now. Kyrie has missed time for various opinions. This team is fragile. But if you can get those guys on the same page at the right time, which one would presume is really the only focus at this point.
Yeah.
Like, do they want to win games in the current? Yeah, of course. But, like, can you get TJ Warren and Joe Harris and all these guys at least
Claxton's
as close
balling.
to healthy as possible at the right time? The Nets are going to be a extraordinarily tough out.
Or they could flame out and get swept, right? Like, this is like the strangeness of this team. To your point, right? They could all be healthy rolling into a series against the Bucks or whatever. And then, like, one domino falls and the whole thing falls apart. Like, the first domino falls, you know?
I agree. They have to have and even the stuff they're doing on, like, a more granular level. Granular level is the Claxton Simmons 2 non-shooter lineup doesn't work without KD.
Right.
Like, you can be like, hey, we're going to run that with Kyrie and someone else. Like, it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. You actually need to have those 2 guys with extreme gravity in order to make that sort of archaic offense happen in a way that doesn't occur when one of them is missing. Right. So what you're saying is, like, it makes sense that this particular team falls apart because of how they're also composed. And also defensively, without KD, the whole 5-man switch thing kind of like loses some of its luster, right? It loses all of its luster. Because, you're missing a really fast 7-footer. Well, they still have 2 other fast 7-footers, but, like, without KD, it doesn't quite work as a unique idea. It just becomes, it has holes, basically. Well, with that third 7-footer, which is such a luxury to have, exactly, then there's always someone, just the way that the court is set up, who's not going to be on the perimeter. You're always going to have help of, like, a person of giant dimensions waiting in the paint. Even if, okay, Simmons is on a guard over here, Claxton switches over here. There's still a third guy who's going to come and help. They always have that backline defense. And so I agree. It's both sides of the ball that it creates problems. Can I just say this is going to be offensive to you as a Shark.
Oh my God, you hate. I know what you're going to do.
You sure do.
Nepo hater over here.
I acknowledge how great of a shooter that Seth Curry is. We know he's a great shooter. One of the best catch and shoot guys in the league. He is a absolutely dynamic shooter. One of the best who's ever lived.
He's
Not
hurt,
as good as
though.
his brother,
Yeah.
but he's great. He is a great shooter. That said, find him tough to watch. He does all these small things that just, they vex me, Andrew. And it's not just his height.
It's your
His-
Obi Toppin, right?
There's just so many things he does, these little quirks in his game that aggravate me. And maybe it's because they're coming from such a small person. I'm not sure.
You're just jealous of his carbon footprint. He's more considerate of this earth when he eventually Danny Ainges himself.
He's going to live so long.
That's right. His circulation's going to be fantastic. Meanwhile, what is he, like 6'5", 6'4"? No, he's like 6'2", right?
No, he's like
6'2".
5. No, I feel like he's like 5'11". He's pretty small. I don't know what he's listed at, but like he is visibly smaller than Kyrie, I believe.
Yeah.
He's
I don't
bigger
know,
than Patty Mills. I think Patty Mills is about like 5'9". Curry's probably 5'10", 5'11". Kyrie's probably like 6'1".
Listen, man, I was living my DR, but now I'm in my CR, and it kind of sucks. where Seth Curry's 6'9".
Well, yeah, but you're in your DR, you're like 6'6". So
In my DR, man, you haven't seen me in a couple of days, man. I got that lengthening surgery. Woo!
you're the fourth 7-footer in your DR.
That's right. I mean,
Yeah, man, Curry irks me. I figured out what it is though. the primary thing, and this really goes to the soul of who I am. So, pickup basketball player.
no lies. Okay, what?
All right, no,
What?
for real. So, one thing that drives me crazy out there on the hardwood
Just say it.
is
This is
when
insane.
people don't get the ball at the court like back in play fast enough.
Right,
It
right.
really bugs me out. Like the other team scores and someone will like wander over and waddle around and get the rebound and dribble it a couple times and then slowly inbound it. Like that drives me crazy. Or when someone gets a rebound and doesn't like push the ball up the court, just walks it up. Or I hate that shit because we're all trying to sweat. We're all trying to get a workout, and it's always a finite amount of time. So like, stop wasting time screwing around. Like, let's play basketball. Win, get off. Stay on the court. Lose, get off. But like, let's play the sport.
You're on the clock.
Stop
You have
walking
2
around.
hours. New York City real
Exactly.
estate is insane. Right.
That's what I'm saying. It's like there's a time length here. We're trying to get this done. So when I see Curry, I'm like, he just takes the ball forever. It takes him forever to like get into anything. He walks the ball up. He never pushes in transition. Like he's just so slow moving. And I went and looked at the numbers to see if this is backed up, and it is. So like when Curry is on the court without Ben Simmons, they're in like the 15th percentile in transition. They just don't run ever. But when he's out there with Simmons, it's like 40%. Right. And when Simmons is out there without him, they're in the 97th percentile. So I get it. It's like he just single-handedly slows the game down, and like it's just an anchor on the transition game. And
Well, he's a
this
high
checks
pick
out.
and roll fiend, right? Like he's always looking for a mismatch in the high pick and roll. He's like,
No, that's in the half court. I'm just saying they don't get into transition at all when he steps on the court because like he like just walks the ball up the court. Like anyway, so I think that's the crux of why I get annoyed by him. There are other quirks, but it's because like he just doesn't get the ball like moving up the court.
but not to bring up a classic storied idea with like the Three Musketeers. It's like, don't hate the player, right? It's the coaches hate the game. Like you have Curry doing the wrong thing. Like Jacques Vaughn should be like, oh, we when Curry gets the ball, like just immediately get rid of it and go to the corner. Zut alors, right? It's exactly what he says in that exact tone.
Like he's at a Christmas restaurant.
Right.
He's got a platter full of escargot.
That's right. It's
Did
got
I tell
red
you?
arms. Right.
Did I tell you that I gave my brother a massive can of snails for Christmas?
You kind of did, but I want to hear more of this. So
It's a very large can, and I guess I presume it's full of snails, the kind you would eat.
is it like $250? Like how much were we talking? I won't tell you, bro.
So I think the can of snails are probably, I don't know, $40, $50.
Ooh, those are bargain basement snails. How many ounces is this can?
No. Come on, they are
these cheap ass
they're,
snails?
They're the real ones. They're from the region in France where the snails come from.
So there's like 6 of them in this can.
I think there's a lot in that can. I'm not really sure how it works when you open that thing up.
Yo,
you got to freeze them in little bundles. I mean, this is clearly something you would buy for a restaurant, not for personal use.
Yo, you went volume this holiday season. Not only did you get this can, you saw this item. You were like, a signed picture of Dennis Franz. I'm gonna double down on this and get 2. You went You're a volume shooter, dude.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly. Is it Burgundy? Wherever the. Maybe it is that. I don't know. Whatever it is, like they're from a certain place. But yeah, I'm not sure exactly what you're supposed to do. You open the can, and then you use little saran wraps and put 6 or 9 per thing, and then put them in the freezer. I've created a huge dilemma.
Yeah, this is
I also
not
gave my brother shells.
Okay, I know this story. Right.
So that they in case people don't know, you can get you have to. You buy them separately. Mm-hmm. So there are certain restaurants you go to, like a little Christmas restaurant on First. They don't use the shells. Like a platter comes out, and you use this, a parsley, garlic, butter sauce, and the snails are right there in it, and you eat them, and you dip your bread in it. Mm-hmm. But in many traditional French places, they put some of the your parsley, butter, herb, garlic mush into the shell. Then you would add the snail, and then you put a little more of your butter mush, and then you put them in the oven for a while. And then you bring them out, and they're piping hot, and that's where they give you the tongs and the little fork, which I did not provide for my brother.
Right.
I just gave him the shells, empty, and a huge can of escargot. And I would say that we're now about almost a month from Christmas, and I have not heard any word back on whether they've been opened or consumed.
I mean, in that house, there are at least 1.5 French experts at any time, right? So did this French expert see this gift? And what kind of reaction do you think it elicited? Was it like, yo, this is like a potential for the bangingest French party we can absolutely have this Saturday? Or were they like, that is a fuck you gift. Your brother hates you.
I think someone said something about it was disgusting.
I think I know who.
I couldn't believe my ears.
Touche.
I will say this. I think it's a great present. It's complicated.
You might have to invite yourself over for an escargot outing. You gotta crack that can.
I'll be honest. You got to crack the can. I just don't know how many you would want to eat in one sitting. Like, you can't be like, all right, we're going to eat 40 snails. That just feels aggressive.
Are there other applications of escargot other than eating it the way you describe? Is there can you mix it with some Schiaparelli? I forgot. Yeah, can you mix it with some spaghetti or some linguine or fettuccine?
Yeah, escargot pasta, that could be a thing.
Very gamey, very very earthy.
Escargot pastry.
Oh, there you go. Like some Pillsbury croissant pastry.
Okay, I'm seeing it. Oh, you could put them in salads, that's for sure. Like over at Crocodile.
Oh,
friend of the pod. They have an excellent salad that includes some escargot. I think you could put it with tagliatelle.
Wow. Is that short for tagliatelle?
No, different kind. No, it is. Yes, it is.
Okay.
And I guess you could probably, I think in some pastries, absolutely.
What would Luigi Mario do? That's Italian. I'm getting
Mario.
I'm getting it twisted. My bad. Because we're talking about fettuccine and tagliatelle.
Yeah. I know. I understood where you were going with that. You're still trying to name some famous Italians.
I cannot. It's Luigi Mario. That is a kind of a fuck you gift, though. Like, if I bought, let's say I bought, this is the Seinfeld beefaroni thing. What if I bought you an industrial can of SpaghettiOs and meatballs? Would you be like, thank you. This is National Thank You Day. I appreciate this gesture for my health.
Well, I mean, I feel like escargot is a different category. It's a gourmet item.
They're snails, boy. I said boy. They're snails, bro. I mean, I want to see the can get cracked. I want to investigate these escargot because there's different levels, right? Escargot is either delicious or disgusting. Nothing in between.
Well, I would presume, and I would never presume anything rashly, I would presume that this is where most restaurants are getting their escargot, from this very place. It is a renowned culinary mecca in the East Village where our chef friends say that's where they get their ingredients. So I would say they are high quality. Now, I don't know what that means in the grand sense, but they're from the right place and they're from the right region of France. Let me assure you, I would never give 10 pounds of snails to a relative unless they were top of the line.
Instead of shells, you should have given him like little freezer baggies or like a lot of saran wrap.
I did promise them I was also going to get them the tongs and the fork, and then just promptly did not.
Yeah, they're unique items, but sometimes all you need is like, it's disgusting. It grosses me out, but I've seen people do it with like a toothpick. Ugh. But you know, when you're in
Savage.
Chinatown and it's Chinese New Year and people dine on the pile of snails, like they usually just throw down a pack of toothpicks and you go to town. I have a tough time with it, but it is traditional.
You know what else is tough to watch?
What?
The Denver Nuggets.
You know, I kind of hate this team.
But why? They have Jokic. He is a basketball genius, a back-to-back MVP, and we don't even need to talk about that accursed MVP ladder. But we have Jokic, who clearly is the MVP again, if we're going to look at the quality of his team, the quality of his statistics.
There's no competition.
Without question. There is no question. He has been the best player in the league this year.
With eyeballs, through stats, everything.
He has been the best, right?
Yeah.
So what's the problem with watching Denver? They got the two-time MVP. They got basketball genius. What's the problem with Denver, dude?
Respect to Aaron Gordon, but I hate their supporting cast, man. I hate Jokic's teammates. And it's nothing personal. We're just talking basketball here. Politics aside entirely. But like, he is so brilliant that maybe a cast kind of like a contrast that is so noticeable when you have just kind of a bunch of heat check guys. Michael Porter Jr. is like kind of a knucklehead basketball player, is clearly talented. Like, he's smooth, he can put the ball in, but like, he is not my favorite basketball like spatial awareness dude. Jamal Murray is constantly heat checking. His whole idea that he can like catch fire and be a clutch player, I'm like, maybe he should just like take smarter shots sometimes. I don't know. I enjoy a little bit what some of these players do, but like based off of BPM, which is kind of like noisy, but a lot of good players are up there. Jokic is number one by a lot. The next player in the 30s is Aaron Gordon, who is dunking the ball, which is awesome. He's turned himself into a really dangerous player. Then everyone else is like in their 90s to 120s. Like Jokic is surrounded by some odd fitting pieces.
I feel like sometimes when I'm watching Jokic play, it feels as if he is going against two adversaries.
That's right.
One, his opponents.
Yeah.
And two, the frenemies around him.
Yeah.
You'll see some of these box scores. Like Jokic went 5 for 5 from the floor, and Jamal Murray put up 29 shots.
Yeah.
And I didn't make that up. That was one from like a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Jokic went 5 for 5, and Jamal Murray put up 29 attempts. And I know that part of Jokic's charm and mystique is that he doesn't care about touches necessarily. He doesn't care about scoring, and I think that's cool. You know, he does remind you that it's a team sport and that passing and facilitation are key elements. And I'm not even suggesting that this is a knock against him as an MVP candidate, because it is a good example for the sport. That it isn't just about scoring. It isn't just about hanging a bunch of points on somebody. That you can affect the outcome of a game in many ways. And it doesn't need to be just that you got buckets. But from a visual standpoint, when I see Jamal Murray taking dumb shots and Jokic not getting touches at crucial points in the game, it makes me want to blow my brains out.
Wow, that's intense. Woo, I didn't expect that, but go off.
Metaphorically, in my DR, I'm killing myself.
Right.
But there was this one game in the CR. I'm chill. I don't because I don't even care about Denver.
Right.
So watching them recently, there was a play where Jokic and Aaron Gordon both were kind of going for a rebound, and Gordon kind of pulls it away from him and takes off down the right sideline and with the ball. And I mean, there was no other opposing players around them. It was just sort of them. The opposing team had already dropped back, so it wasn't like a transition opportunity. It was just like going into kind of a migrating half court set. So Gordon comes down the right sideline. Jokic is now trailing the play, and charges into the lane, commits an immediate foul.
That's right.
And ball going the other direction. I'm like, how can I watch this?
Yeah.
How can I remain alive in my while watching Aaron Gordon wrestle the ball away from the two-time MVP, insist on bringing it down himself, and then directly run into a charge? How can I support a team with guys who play so silly?
The corner rights.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Why don't you give the ball to Jokic? Show some respect, man. This is your teammate. I know he empowers you guys, but also it's Jokic. He's the best. Every time he has the ball, it just turns into either a good shot for him or a bunny for someone else. Here's a layup. Here's an open three. Just run the offense through him every single time, man.
When you pass away, when you clock out, and the New York Times publishes your obituary, it's going to read, hopefully I'll write it, and I'll write, he couldn't handle any more Bones Highland isolation heat checks anymore. That ball player is fun as hell and Knicksian to many degrees. He's just trying to cook out there, man. It's like Jamal Crawford number 5. And I'm like, yo, you got maybe the best offensive player we've ever seen, but certainly of this era, and you're just trying to shake your man for a fadeaway 15-footer? God damn.
I mean, he has a higher usage than Jokic.
Bones Highland is a tough player, man. I like him so much, but he's tough to watch.
I mean, just even looking at the usage stats here, it's Bones Highland 28.4, Jokic 27.9.
I didn't even
Jamal
know that.
Murray 25.6.
Yeah.
Michael Porter Jr. 21.9. It's you guys sure about that?
Right. Hey man, you and your stats, man. Just use your eyes. Clearly Bones can get his. You got a walking bucket in Jamal. And Michael Porter Jr. is a max player, man. Spread the wealth. I mean, we always talk about scoring inflation, right? And why there's these gaudy individual numbers. And it's because, do something that will win you games over and over. Like, you don't have to like culturally spread the wealth. Like, if you want to win the games, just like put the ball in the hands of your best player. But Denver does this thing. It's like, it's bones o'clock. I'm like, really? Like, shouldn't it just be a Jokic game?
I mean, looking at that team, I like the Aaron Gordon mostly just jams, but I
like
also have seen many plays where he's like, "It's Aaron Gordon's season." You're like,
Right.
give it back, give it back to the big guy.
Right.
Jokic will get you a dunk. You hold your horses. There's a dunk on the horizon. Just wait.
Yeah.
And like, I think Bruce Brown plays the right way.
I like him. Yeah.
Bruce Brown is one of the few teammates that I don't feel are actively trying to sabotage Nikola Jokic and cause my dream world suicide.
He doesn't cook. He just finishes, right? He's like the trigger when he's supposed to be the trigger.
He takes open threes, he runs out on the break and dunks it, and he cuts to the basket. He does what he's supposed to do.
Yeah, yeah. Have you seen his street style by any chance? Have you like checked out Bruce Brown's like tunnel walks?
I think it's good, right? Or no?
I mean, you might appreciate him. It's very cowboy centric. He's got a Western flair, from what and I always say you might enjoy it because you were into riding pants for a hot second, unless it's still in. I don't know. We haven't talked about this in a while.
I might be wearing some right now.
Oh damn! You and Bruce Brown, man. Shout out.
I saw some photos from Paris. I feel like riding pants are still having their moment.
It would be years. How long would it classify to have a? Does a moment have to burn bright? Because it's been a kind of a dim glow for riding pants, but sustained.
I just feel like pleats are still kind of like rocking along. I thought people would get sick of pleats. 100%. It's probably pleats are probably back on the way out, but pleats seen plenty of them. Still of late in the fashion world. So pleats still in the mix.
I agree. Yeah, man. So my disdain for, or my frustration with this Nuggets team is, I want Jokic to get far in the playoffs so I can enjoy watching this awesome player in like huge stages versus other awesome players. And I fear they won't even get that far because this point of view for the Nuggets is bound to implode. And, there was a really great Thinking Basketball video about like, is Jokic's defense good enough to withstand the playoffs? Great question, great video. But my question is this offense good enough to withstand his teammates? Like, he's got an uphill battle, man. And it would be awesome if they somehow got another top 40, 50 player to play with him, because he's dealing with like a bunch of just like maybe bench guys, to be honest. Like, if you just wanted to close your eyes and look at these players without knowing about salary, without knowing that they went off in the bubble, like, these guys are not that different than a lot of Commissioner Gordon-ass players.
Well, I also wonder, can you have regular season habits that change when the games mean more?
Right.
Can Jokic say, "Hey, man, Bones, come on here and just get buckets. You're a young guy. Go
Maybe
get experience.
So.
Put shots up. Let's get you a great contract. Go get yours, Bones. I love watching this. This is fun." And then the playoffs roll around, and you say, "Bones, now you're going to have to chill a little bit." I don't know.
Sure.
I mean,
right.
Like, is this something that someone like Jokic can dictate? I mean, probably if he wanted to. I mean, he's the man. If he said, "Guys, I want the ball every single time down the court," if he just said that, they would probably do it. And maybe the flip side of this is that, although I do have some questions about the talent and sometimes I don't know if attitude is the right word.
Whoa.
No, I mean with his teammates, like their I guess their approach, that they seem to kind of want to do their own thing in a way that is not necessarily beneficial because you have such an incredible player on your team. But at the same time, maybe you got to let guys do that if you want to assemble good talent and you want to have them enjoy playing with you. Because people talk about, well, what's going on with the Mavs? Where's the other talent next to Luka? And it's like, well, if you have a guy who every time down, he's the one who makes all the decisions. He's the one who's going to take the shot at the end of the clock. He's the one who's going to get the glory, and he's the one who will maybe get the blame as well. But it's just a totally tiered system of responsibility that maybe playing with someone like Jokic is just more fun than playing with someone like Doncic, because he's going to give you a chance to put up shots. You're going to get a chance to score and feel as if you're a bigger part of the offense.
Yeah, and there's, the kind of Golden State Warriors have kind of proved that, because everyone seems to really love playing with Steph and Clay. And the antithesis would be like the Kobe years, where everyone just watched Kobe cook, kind of. Both successful. But the story behind those kind of prototypical teams is there's talent that's like almost equal or right under the high usage alpha guy. And we are in the era of that people have talked about a lot about heliocentricity, right? Like, shout out to Pablo and Kurt Goldsberry's pod. That was amazing. They kind of described it in ways that I think we agree with and that are true. And if Jokic doesn't have the taste to have this kind of ball hoggishness to him, and he wants to create an environment, a culture of teammates that like playing together, that stick together, who work as a cohesive unit to get the most points out of possession because they're not looking for theirs. Their motives are clear. That is totally legitimate, and that definitely could work. I think the Golden State Warriors are proof of that. But this supporting cast just isn't as good as what the Warriors have most recently presented on the court.
Totally. And it's an interesting kind of counterpoint to the idea of spamming a play as being, an optimized offense. And I feel like that is what you want to do when you're, say, playing pickup ball. Like, hey, our pick and roll works. Why would we go away from it? And that works at every level. Well, if they can't stop this play, don't stop doing it.
Yes.
People say this in football. They do it all the time, whatever. Like, until they show you that they can
Bucks
stop something, do it, over and over and over. And, in the NBA, you could probably say every time down, we're just going to get Jokic the ball in the elbow and run, a little curl off of him, and then he's going to post his guy up, and then he's either going to take a shot or he's going to kick it to the wing. And kind of do what Doncic does in that way. Like, he's going to get in the paint, he's going to get an open three for somebody or a high percentage good look for himself, or he's going to get fouled. And we can do that all the time. But maybe people get bored. I remember there were people saying they didn't love playing with James Harden in Houston because that was all they did. Harden pick and roll, you go stand in the corner, you go stand in the corner, you go stand on the free throw extended other side. And when the ball comes, you shoot it. Now you're going to get back on defense. And if they close out, you're going to pass the ball to someone else in that same position.
Right.
And it takes a certain kind of player who's willing to accept that role. And not everybody is. And even those guys who are willing to do it may not feel that fulfilled as basketball players, taking, 7 threes a game, making 2 of them and never dribbling, never making decisions, never really passing. And I think there is an argument that even if it's not as effective as it could be, the democratization of the Nugget system may keep people happier.
It sounds like you're a NBA basketball play diversity hater. Like, you see the 5 Chuckles and you're like, just make them all hookers. And I'm like, no. One is nice, one is horny, one is trustworthy, one's like a empathetic genius.
Like, just give me all the green.
Yes.
Give me all the green harlots from the Chuckles pack.
Just like, make them all sex workers. We don't need anything else. And I see that point too, like, we're not trying to shame any Chuckle here. So like, now the NBA gets good, right? I hate to be like this league, but trade deadline and then going into the playoffs. Let's go.
Yeah, I was going to say, to your exact point, I think when the games matter most, you should be spamming what you do best and make people stop it. But it's a long season, and you got to keep people engaged and keep people happy. And like, you want your team to be friends with each other and to enjoy the experience of playing together, even just because you spend so much time together. So like, it's an 82-game season. You might as well let everyone eat for a while, as long as you can get down to what you do best when it counts the most. I feel like that's maybe your best case scenario.
And just to try stuff out, right? Like maybe I've never eaten 5 pounds of escargot in one sitting, but I'm willing to do it, and I'm also willing to give Bones Highland higher usage than Jokic, right? And like, let's see if it works. Why not? We're still good.
And when I'm out, like wear your Three Musketeers trench coat. See how it feels.
Oh, damn, he rolled up in the yellow Chuckles leather. It's going to be a long night.
Well, it sure is. Cookies.
I love cookies. I love cookies. I love cookies.